What's good, people? We're about to do a prediction of what we plan will happen in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 5.
This city is too small for us, Dunk. Don't lose your nerve now.
The seven bear witness, feel the guilty.
Be vigilant, don't die.
Yeah, this is going to be a crazy battle. We're finally going to get the trial of the seven. And as we saw last time, we had a big surprise. We had Baelor Breakspear, who ended up showing up as Ser Duncan's 7th knight. So before we even delve and dig into what episode 5 will be about, the breakdown for this, we first and foremost have to start off with the Trial of Seven. First and foremost, the Trial of Seven itself was an old, fateful case where we'd expect that the gods would give favor to the justice if seven knights went against each other in battle. If, of course, it wasn't a Trial of Combat 101. And because Arian had to go and say we need the Trial of Seven, well, here we are.
So Duncan must pay for each one of his crimes against us.
So who do we have in the Trial of Seven? Well, first, of course, Ser Duncan started off with no knights. He didn't really know anybody at the beginning. He came all the way to Ashford. The only person he knew was Ser Duncan Pennytree. That was the only knight he knew. And he's gone. So that was the only real knight he knew. First, he sees the Fossleways. I think that was particularly at daytime. He sees the Fossleways. And this was very interesting to say the least. Because what he saw was Raymond Fossaway, who wasn't a knight at the time. He was just getting beats from Stefan Fossaway. And Stefan looked like a bully at the time, and he was really showing his true character, which started to unravel after. So Stefan Fossaway was the first person we see. Funny enough, after he finds out that, he's having to do this Trial 7, when he speaks to Raymond about it, Stefan Fossaway, who is the cousin of Raymond, tells Ser Duncan, "You won't die on my watch. We Fossaways were here before these Targaryens." Because clearly, if you don't really know Ser Duncan, you don't really have many knights, which is what Arian was depending on. But Stefan Fossaway told Ser Duncan and promised him that he will fight for him. So already Ser Duncan thought he already had one knight in the back. After that, of course, Egg turns up and Egg's telling him, "Look, these are the knights you're going to have to fight thus far." This gave him shock. Egg tells him that, of course, Daron, he's going to have to fight. But Daron tells him, "Look, just knock me down." So already we have Daron the Drunk. He is the brother of both Egg and Arian. Then Egg says, "Of course, my father," he said that he begged his father. You can imagine Egg really begged his father not to fight in this, who, of course, is Prince Maekar, who is going to be the future king before Egg. Prince Maekar himself, having to defend his honor of his son, whatnot, is a bit of a sticky situation because, that's one person who, of course, has experience. He fought in the Black Fires with Baelor. So already, okay, we have someone that is very skilled. A bit of a worry.
Why not slay the rogue yourself?
Then, of course, Egg then says, "Look, we got the three King's Guards." And you see the look that, of course, Ser Duncan gives Raymond, like, "Oh my goodness me, man, this is crazy. King's Guards." And he met two of them. Two of them were shown very well in Sir Donald of Duskendale and Roland Craighall. Sir Donald of Duskendale, you seem to show more of him, speaking more to Ser Duncan, which is very significant. We'll explain further on this. He comes from the Crablands, so he came from poverty to get to this point, which is not normally a particular method or a particular process that is normally expected to get to become a King's Guard. You don't even expect people from such a low height to get to where he got to. We also saw, of course, stood with him as they arrived.
Is there a proper
Sir
place to
Roland
shit around?
Craig Hall, who he himself, he's from the western region, the western region, and they pledge allegiance to the Lannisters. So he's from a real nice area, I'd say the least. The one we don't see is Sir William Wild. He'll be the third Kingsguard. So already we've got 3 Kingsguards. We have Darren, who's just drunk. Might as well put him down already. And they have Maker. So far they only have 5 though. And then of course Erin, which makes 6. So they still need one more who's going to really stand for them, which is very interesting. So as dawn turns out, Ser Duncan sees who, of course, they've rounded up for him, because in the books it seems as though he knows already that particular night, but you can see in episode 4 he shows up to see who that's going to be. And you see the knights, you see Lionel Baratheon. That was expected, of course, given the fact that he had his already camaraderie a bit. I say already camaraderie, but he had a bit of a affiliation with Ser Duncan. You see him in the parties, and I think that was purposely done. They wanted to show that he had some affiliation with Ser Duncan, so that was good to see. Also, we saw the Humphreys. The tourney started a lot, with one of the biggest jousts, which was the Battle of the Humphreys. So seeing both Humphrey Harding and Humphrey Beesbury was, a significant thing. So Humphrey Harding, so Humphrey Beesbury, they had their own situation. First and foremost, Sir Humphrey Harding was called out by Aerion. Aerion was like, "Time to face the dragon."
It's time you face the dragon.
Bro, like, time to face the dragon, So Humphrey Harding goes against Aerion in a joust, and you see that Aerion takes off his horse. Bro stabbed his horse, what a menace. Aerion stabs his horse, and that was a significant thing for Sir Humphrey Harding, because he had just beaten Beesbury. He had lost to Aerion in such a bad manner. Interesting thing is, the Harding, Humphrey Harding and Humphrey Beesbury, as Humphreys, they were brother-in-laws. So that was a very interesting thing. And the fact that Humphrey Harding was going to fight, of course he's going to fight. He's already lost when really he didn't even, he didn't lose fairly. They took his horse already. He got an award. He got awarded a horse, funny enough, by Lord Ashton again. Lionel Baratheon, you hear him say he gonna fight and just get them Kingsguards there. He doing it for bragging rights. Let's be honest. The Baratheon, he said we've not had anything like this in centuries. So those are 3 nights.
I'm in a trial of the 7 for 100 years. Missed a chance to bloody up the Kingsguard in their pretty white gowns.
We also have Robin Risley. We see him earlier. They presented him earlier in one of the episodes prior before with one eye. He ended up fighting his Lord Tyrell in a joust prior before and lost an eye, but still fought after that. Bro could have just stopped, but he still fought after that. After that turn, he turned around and still fought and won. He was a very honorable knight. So imagine that. Now we have Robin Riesling, we have Humphrey Harding, Humphrey Beesbury, Lionel Baratheon. That's 4 knights, including Ser Duncan, the hedge knight. 5. He still needs 2 more. So on that day, he sees, of course, Stefan Fossaway. Stefan Fossaway tells him, "Look, sorry, you need 2 because I'm fighting for Harry." So imagine now he's down to the fact that he has 5 knights and still needs 2. Now Aerion's got his knights completed because he already had the 3 Kingsguards, Maekar, and his brother Darren the Drunk. So Stefan completed that as his complete 7. And straight away, you see in episode 4, very emotional. You see Stefan Squire, Raymond Fossaway, tell Ser Duncan with all balls and steel, "Look, knight me now. Knight me."
I will take my cousin's place.
Funny enough, this is crazy because Ser Duncan don't even know how to even knight, bro. Bro out here trying to put your hand, he didn't even know what to say. Because he never had a formal knight. You know, he's a spoiler alert, but Sir Alan really didn't give him the formal knight. He just promised him, "I will knight you before I die." And then Lionel Baratheon steps up and says, "You go ahead, I'll knight you," which was such an honourable thing for Lionel to do. We now have at least 6, but he still needed 1 more. And Lord Ashton said, "Look, if you don't have your complete 7, sorry, we can't do 7 against 6." That's when Baelor Breakspear turns up and messes stuff up. This messed Aeron's whole plan.
I will take Ser Duncan's side.
Aeron just wanted him to die. Like, Aeron didn't get the justice he felt like he deserved. And I think for that reason, he was fuming. He was completely fuming. So you can see, just from the trailer that we got, that the attorney starts with acceptance, saying, "Everyone, you know, may the gods, of course, do everything in righteousness and justice." You know, and that kicks it off. You see Egg just there on the stands like a true Targaryen, just sat there, rightfully, but nervous. He about to see his whole family fighting. You know, you see then Baelor Breakspear. He's telling him, "Fight vigilantly and die."
Be vigilant, don't die.
And with that, you see Ser Duncan and Raymond Foster, they're throwing up, especially Ser Duncan. They're throwing up like, man, I'm about to. I don't think even then it still hits them. But at least now it starts to let them know that, look, bro, this ain't a joust. This ain't the tourney you were just doing. People about to die over this. So things you see is the lances. This is a very significant thing. Baelor Breakspear is the one, of course. He's hanging the king, so don't be surprised. He's going to be the one that comes out with a strategy. You know, so he gives a strategy that, okay, look, we need to use the long tourney lances. Number one, on horse, the people that are, of course, the accusers. So on horse them as champions. But also, it stops harm from being a case. You know, what he really saw was the fact that the opponents, the accusers, had war lances. They were ready to kill in the first kill. But the tourney lances were a lot longer. It would take them out before they even get there. So that was such a good tactic, you know. And the second thing he said was, you know, those 3 King's Guards, they can't take me down. You know, that's really shown in the books where he speaks about them not being able to take him down. So we're going to see all this happen in episode 5, just the strategy and the war and the fact that it's going to be tense. But I feel as though Baelor's really going to come out with aura and strategy and fight valiantly. And also, they may show previewers what happened with the Blackfire situation, you know, because of course, the hammer and anvil, which is Baelor and Maekar fighting hand in hand when they beat the Blackfire Rebellion against the realm. I feel as though that's all going to come in fruition because, see, these are 2 brothers that, you know, fought with each other before that are going to have to fight against each other, and that's going to be insane, the least. So that's really one thing we really have to consider in this battle, this trial of 7. Ferocity and momentum of clashes, just head to head, going against each other. We have 1 death straight away, which will be one of the Humphreys, Humphrey Breakspear. Humphrey Breakspear, unfortunately, he's the one with the leg issue already. You know, you see him early before tell Ser Duncan, look, as long as I'm on my horse, I'll be good. But he gets struck first with the war lances by Sir Donald Dustdale. When Humphrey Breakspear dies, I believe this is when everybody wakes up. They'll realize like this is a serious war. Lives will be lost. You know, people coming off horses. Once people come off horses, they start drawing out swords, axes. Forget about lances now. It gets messy. One person who lets you guys know they will always turn up for you, and which a lot of people are going to enjoy. We hope to see this in episode 5 is Lionel Baratheon. Lionel Baratheon is already coming out with aura and confidence. He said, I got to get one of these King's Guards. And he does. He gets Will and Wild. You know, he injures Will and Wild at least. You don't kill Will and Wild, but he injures Will and Wild, which is going to be very interesting to see. We're going to love that because he's definitely going to show why he's Lionel Baratheon, why he's the heir, you know. So that's going to be very interesting to see. So that's one person injured as well. We have one dead, one injured. The other person that's just gonna be who gonna be is gonna be Daron. Once Daron get hit, he purposely gonna put himself to the side anyway. So he really a waste of space. Another in terms of the Humphreys that injures and dies, unfortunately, will be Humphrey Harden. He's always getting injured, but he ends up getting injured and dies. So that's going to be a big thing for Ser Duncan to deepen that, man. I can't believe these lords, especially the Humphreys, they really lost their lives on my watch. They lost their lives because of me. He's going to feel that, but it gets worse. Aaron against none other than Ser Duncan the Tall. With Prince Aaron, you see him, he's carrying something very significant, which is shown a bit in a lot of the previews, which is going to be the Morning Star. It's like a bow with spike, bro, out here rolling it, and he going to be terrorizing folk with that. We already know he's going to be terrorizing folk. Like, it's Aaron. A bit of what we're seeing, he's just beating the heck out of Dunk with that. He's literally whacking him with that, feeling it. That, but you see one of the images he's using, one of those videos there, he's using his sword. He throws his sword directly at it. Like, the skill and the ferocity, you can see why he calls himself the dragon. He's out here just being a menace. He's throwing that at Ser Duncan. So already that's a bit of an issue for Ser Duncan. He gets to the point where he whacks him again and he's on his feet now. Bro is not even on his feet no more. He's on the floor. You can see almost like a horse is almost stepping on bro. Like, bro, are you even alive? But bro got the correct gear anyway. Luckily, it seemed as though they helped him a lot with that. Already now, Aaron probably thinking, yeah, I've won, bro. Like, let's end this now. It's wraps. They show a voice, I believe, in the previews from Egg. He's saying, "Get up, Ser Duncan! Get up!" He really the kind of squad you need. When Mickey was telling Rocky, "Get out, get out, get out!" This was like a Rocky moment, bro. This was a Rocky moment, which we believe we should probably get in episode 5 or 6. But I'm guessing it'll be episode 5. So he gets up. The reason why this is a big point was also they show Ser Duncan, they show a bit of his beginnings in Flea Bottom, which they're going to show in episode 5. It may be like an alternative back and forth, but they'll show that, which really shows, where he comes from, why he is who he is. And I think that's very interesting and very impactful to how he'll be able to stand up straight and right to be able to fight Aaron. Where Aaron gonna look at him like, how is this guy able to even still fight, bro? This guy should be like, he's done, bro. He done. Aaron look at him sit like, bro, how is he still standing? This is where Ser Duncan stands up with his sword and you can see him do that, like, bro out here, head blooded. He's not wearing his helmet, but he about to fight Mado. Because that's what he really wanted, the one-on-one. Like, bro, I only came here for the fade, me and you. And, in the books, it shows about, within novellas, it really shows him with using what looks to be whacking Aaron with a shield. He whacking with a shield and giving him beatings. That's what we deem would be the case. But, yeah, he'll finally get to a point where he gonna beat Aaron and make Aaron declare what he called, which would have been the accusation, because he puts Aaron to a point where Aaron can either die or do that anyway. So Aaron being the real, what he really is, not who we think he is, ends up giving up. So don't connect cheering. And Baelor Breakspear, who fights so valiantly, turns up, goes straight to Ser Duncan, takes off his, you can see he's kind of like, he's a bit dazed. He seems a bit drunk. So a lot of the champions are laughing like, nah, not Baelor Breakspear. What have you been drinking, bro? Have you been on it? Have you been on the drink? That's when you can see his head's almost coming off, bro. They talk about how his skull brains is falling off of his. I'm hoping they don't show that in the actual show, but this is what we plan to see. And he falls on top of Dunk. This is literally the vision which Darren the Drunk had. The dragon will fall on top of Ser Duncan, which is crazy. While Ser Duncan's alive. That's why Ser Duncan asked, did I slay? That will be Baelor Breakspear. And this will be so sad. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the Phantom Menace moment when, of course, Qui-Gon believed in Anakin Skywalker and took so many risks to get to where he needed to be with Anakin to push his blessings for him. He said, I don't care if the council ain't with it, I'm going to train it myself. I look at that situation, I look at Baelor being such a wise man, but putting himself in that situation where, of course, his life could be gone. He risked his life for honor. And it really makes Maekar upset. Maekar feels the blame. Maekar feels like, man, did I do this? I really did this. Like, why did this happen? He was really upset because he felt as though, look, because what's interesting is that Maekar was the one that used his mace to hit Baelor Breakspear, which causes this mishap to happen. This is going to be sad to see. We believe we'll probably see this probably in episode 6. Maybe 5 will be a cliffhanger. We've seen Ser Duncan catch beats. Maybe that's what we'll see at the end of episode 5. I believe that would be the case. And he probably gets up and fights, getting ready to fight for episode 6. I believe that's where it stops, at episode 6, where he's with his sword ready to fight. And that's going to be crazy because 30 minutes for that is just going to be hard and insane to not. For all that to be 30 minutes is going to be hard, but this is how the Trial of 7 is going to go. So really, I'm hyped. I'm hyped. We'll definitely do more breakdowns of a lot of these characters going forward as well. Reactions, of course. We already reacted to Game of Thrones. We'll be reacting in the weekend as well to this new episode that will come out. We'll speak about it as well. What we thought was going to be the case. And we'll see how it goes. But definitely make sure, guys, if you enjoy the content, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's go.